Hi guys, welcome back to OK Jank, bringing you another deck profile for Genesis in standard format. I know I've brought you the Artemis build, this time it's the Himiko build. This is before the release of the kind of the Shinmon reboot arc, where the deck changes again, but there's a lot of good support for this, so I will be doing updates on these decks because Genesis is one of my favourite clans. It's the new stuff makes all these decks really fun to play. So obviously starting with Aim of the Stars Artemis, when rolled upon, draw a card. There's no other option. Then we'll go into triggers, 4 heals, then 4 Perfect Guard draw triggers, then I'm running 3 Talisman Angel draw triggers because I like the draw. It's something that Genesis has been a little bit lacking, and being able to take advantage of it with Himiko's skill is really good. Then I'm running 4 Kukirahime crit triggers, and then just 1 Cyber Tiger. You can reduce one of the Talisman Angel draw triggers and up this and run 6 and 6, but I like the draw. As I say, it allows a little bit more defensive plays and still puts your opponent on edge. You could even run 3 Kukirahime and 2 Tiger just to so your opponent, when they're counting your triggers, are a bit unsure. So then we go into the main grade 3 is Himiko, which is Vanguard skill act once per turn. Soul Blast 5, put a crit or a draw trigger from the bottom of my deck, from your soul to the bottom of your deck, and that trigger activates for each grade of your opponent's Vanguard. So if your opponent's on grade 3, it triggers 3 times. So you can put 3 crit and 30,000 power on one unit, 10,000 power and a crit on one across your front board instead. You can really be flexible with it depending on what you're against. And the draw is really good because it turns up 1 draw trigger, which you can then drive check early on in the game, put into soul. It gets you another couple of draws off that, and if it's a draw trigger, you don't mind doing it when your opponent's on grade 2. It's 20,000 power and 2 extra cards in your hand quite early on in the game, which could be quite nice. It can help set you up for your next turn when then there's a crit in your soul after wearing down an opponent's hand. So that's your main ride. Then the other grade 3 is Eternal Goddess Iguanahime. I believe I ran this in the Artemis build that I showed, which is, so it's act once per turn, Vanguard or Rearguard, Soul Blast 3, draw a card, put a card from your hand into soul, and increase this unit's power by 2 times the shield value with the card put into the soul with this effect. So you put a heal trigger against 40,000 power. That's the grade 3 lineup, so I'm only running 8 grade 3s. Some people are running 9 or 10 with the other grade 3, which checks top 3, puts 1 soul and the other 2 back on top. I was just finding that if I was having to ride into that, my games were almost a certain loss for me, whereas if I rode into this, having the force marker at least applied a bit of pressure, and having a big Vanguard swing also applied some pressure, and being able to then filter your hand a little bit with this, whereas the other one you're not filtering your hand. This filters a little bit. This feels like a better ride to be running. Then grade 2s, running 4 Shitarahime, which is Vanguard Rearguard, Counter Blast 1 until end of the turn. Next time your Soul Blast is reduced by 2 and one of your unit gets 30,000 power. So if you've got 3 open Counter Blasts, you can do it 3 times. Give 1 unit 9,000 or 3 units 3,000 and reduce the Soul Blast by 6, which can be good on a Himiko turn as long as you've got a trigger in your soul, because that's not included in the Soul Blast cost. Can be really good. That 3k power as well, it may not seem much, but if you give it to something that's got 10,000 power, one of your other grade 2s, it means they can swing unboosted at an opponent's Vanguard no matter what they're running, pretty much. Then the best card that Genesis has ever had until this new stuff. Strongbow with Starry Nights Ulysses. Just at the end of the battle, it attacks a Vanguard, goes into Soul, draws a card, and then Soul charges one. So I say it's the best card Genesis has ever had for now, because it doesn't have to hit. It's Soul Charge 1 by itself, it draws you a card and then it Soul Charges you another one. It goes in almost every build that I've contemplated with the new stuff, in Premium, it's in a lot of my decks. It's just so versatile. It's why I think it's one of the best cards. There's no restrictions to it, it's just got a swing at the Vanguard, which you want to be doing anyway, so you usually like to pair it up with this, give it 3000 power, swing at your opponent's Vanguard, and forces some extra guard, and yeah, draws you cards, fills your soul. It's the only thing is it's not filtering. I'd like a draw 2, put 1 to soul, and something like that would be really good. However, I'm really happy with this card, so that's it. And then the other grade 2, which I'm not such a fan of, although it's useful, is Sahime. It's a grade 2 version of Iguana Hime, the grade 3, which is when placed, counterblast 1, soul blast 2, draw 2 cards, put a card from your hand into soul, and increase this unit's power by the shield value of the card. This doesn't double the shield value, so if you put a heal trigger, it's only gaining 20,000 power, and it's a one place, and it's a 9k base, which is why I'm not as much of a fan of this as some of the other cards that we have. However, I feel it's needed because it filters into the soul and draws you an extra card. So you might be soul blasting 2, but you're soul blasting 2 that aren't useful for you, to draw 2 and put 1 in soul, which is going to be a trigger usually, and you're drawing 2 anyway, which filters your hand a little bit better. So it's useful. I don't think it's the greatest card. I wish the other alternatives weren't. You need the Divine Gauge off Artemis or just a vanilla with shield. I wish there was another alternative, but it's not bad. It works for the deck. Then we'll go on to the grade 1s, because I'm trying to get through this quite quickly, but feel I'm waffling on a bit. So grade 1s for Battle Maiden Mikirahime. This is a grade 1 that's running all Himiko builds. When placed from hand, reduce the next time you soul blast by 3 until end of turn, so reducing that cost again. It goes in a lot of other builds as well, especially in Premium. When you soul blast in big numbers, this will be useful. Then running 4 Witch of Cat's Cumin, which is when placed, counterblast 1, rest this unit, return 1 stud rear guard to your hand, or put a card from your drop into your soul. So you can guard early on with crits and draw triggers, and then call this, put them down, or you can bounce this to keep reducing the costs, or you can bounce the Sahime. If you've got enough soul and you feel like you need to filter your hands a lot. It also takes 2 counterblasts, which is not much since they're the only things that really counterblast, but it feels a little bit wasted doing that, so I prefer to bounce Mikirahime a lot of the time, or just put a trigger in if I've got enough soul and no reducers in hand. So then running 4 Swift Runner of Clear Skies Achilles, which is just grade 1. Usually you just boost it until you go in for your final turn with your Himiko. You need the soul and you need a bit of extra power. You tuck him into soul, and 3 of your units get 3000 power. So unfortunately the power can't stack, it has to go to 3 different units, but it's still useful, especially like I say, if you've one soul short, you're going to push for game, and you need that extra damage and extra power just to make sure your opponent has to guard with that extra shield value from their hand, which can often lead you to the win because they miscalculate, because they don't realise that the 3k causes so much shield value across 3 units. And then the final card, the tech slot, which more people are running instead of him, is 1 Witch of Frogs Melissa. It's just 1 place from hand, Soul Blast 3. Your opponent looks at the same number of cards from the top of his or her deck as their rear guards and calls them over those rear guards, and shuffles the deck. Your opponent doesn't activate the abilities of the call. Now, they're not calling over the units. Yeah, they have to call over the units. They can't call to open rear guards. So if you're against an Excel clan and they've got 6 Excel markers that don't have anything on, but they've got 4 units in the normal rearguard columns, they can't just call them to the Excel markers for extra value. So it's a 1 of. You could run it as a 2 of. Some people are running it as a 3 of or 4 of. I run it as a 1 of because in my local meta there's it's basically a force meta. A couple of Excel players, but if you see this and your Excel players running Excel 2, it helps you because most likely it deck thins them out of triggers, and it's a change of pace because they'll have things that you can't necessarily hit, the grade 2s and things, so you swap them out, and it means that your opponent's strategy for the next turn is a little bit all over the place then for them. So it's just a change of pace in my deck for me. I feel running Achilles is a more consistent card to run, so that's my Himiko build for you guys. Hope you've enjoyed. I will be doing an update as soon as the new stuff comes out. After I might do a trial deck opening video. It is the week before London, or the week of the London Nats tournament though, which I will be attending, and I will be playing Genesis in Standard because although it's probably not the greatest because there's still a lot of retire clans going around, especially Narukami. I've seen a lot of people running because of the pressure it can apply really early on with the kind of 3 crit drives or the restanding Vanguard, which is really consistent. But I will be playing Genesis at that event, and I will try and do some deck profiles or trial deck openings and box openings for that set because, like I say, Genesis is one of my favourite clans and it needs some support, and I want to put it out there for you guys because I want other people to be as passionate about these clans as I am. So it's been okay, Jank. I'll catch you next time. Bye.